Listen English. Elara often felt a quiet tremor deep within her whenever English conversation arose. She yearned to speak fluently, to express her thoughts without hesitation, but the words seemed to vanish. Listening to others effortlessly chat filled her with both admiration and a pang of frustration. This deep desire fueled her ambition to conquer the daunting linguistic mountain. She meticulously observed how other people talk in English, noting their intonation and rhythm. Friends, colleagues, even strangers in cafes, seemed to navigate conversations with such ease. Elara analyzed their choice of words, their natural pauses, and the way they connected ideas seamlessly. Every interaction became a silent, immersive lesson for her. The thought of taking the first step for talking, however, felt paralyzing. What if she made a mistake? What if her pronunciation was off? These anxieties spiraled, trapping her in a cycle of silent observation. She knew listening English was crucial, but active participation remained a formidable barrier in her journey. One evening, after countless hours of internal debate, Elara decided. Enough was enough. She recognized that genuine progress required action, not just passive intake. She would commit to learning English actively, embracing every stumble as a necessary part of growth. This determination marked her true beginning. Her initial plan was simple: listen English every single day. Podcasts, movies, interviews, anything that exposed her ears to natural spoken English. She didn't focus on understanding every single word, but rather on the overall flow and common expressions. This immersive approach was her first strategic move. Next, she dedicated time to mimicking what she heard. Not just repeating words, but imitating intonation and speed. This felt awkward at first, a strange theatrical performance in her own room. Yet, she persisted, believing that muscle memory for sounds was as important as vocabulary acquisition. Her voice slowly began to find its tune. The crucial hurdle remained: how to talk with anyone. She knew practice was vital, but finding willing partners seemed daunting. The fear of judgment lingered, a shadow over her emerging confidence. Elara needed a safe space, a low-pressure environment where mistakes were not just tolerated but encouraged. She remembered a small online community dedicated to English study playing for talking. It promised a supportive environment for learners at all levels. Hesitantly, she browsed their forums, reading success stories that ignited a flicker of hope within her. Perhaps this was the path she had been searching for. One post caught her eye: practice talking with people in pairs. It suggested virtual one-on-one sessions, perfect for focused, intimate conversation. This concept appealed immensely to Elara, offering a less overwhelming alternative to group discussions. It felt like a truly practical step forward. Gathering her courage, Elara signed up. Her first scheduled call felt like a monumental event. Her heart pounded as the connection initiated, a mix of excitement and profound nervousness. She clutched her notes, filled with simple conversational starters, hoping they would be her linguistic life raft. Her first partner was Ken, from Japan. He too was a beginner, which instantly eased some of Elara's tension. They stumbled through introductions, each word a small victory. The shared experience of being learners created an immediate bond, dissolving much of her initial apprehension. This was truly encouraging. They talked about their favorite foods, their hobbies, and their reasons for learning English. Simple topics, yet each sentence felt like a significant achievement. Elara focused on articulating her thoughts, even if slowly, and Ken patiently listened. This supportive exchange built a foundational confidence. After several paired sessions, Elara noticed a change. The once paralyzing fear of speaking had begun to recede. She still made errors, of course, but they no longer felt like catastrophic failures. Instead, they became opportunities for correction and deeper understanding, fueling her progress. She started to understand how people speak English more organically now, beyond just the words. She grasped subtle nuances, inflections, and informal expressions. It was as if a new dimension of comprehension had opened up, making her listening skills even sharper and more intuitive. Elara diversified her practice, engaging with different partners from various countries. Each new voice offered unique accents and conversational styles. This expanded her ability to understand how other people talk in English, preparing her for a broader range of real-world interactions. She embraced mistakes, often laughing them off with her partners. This light-hearted approach transformed the learning process from a stressful ordeal into an enjoyable exploration. The pressure to be perfect diminished, allowing genuine communication to flow more freely between them. Her vocabulary grew, not just from textbooks, but from real conversations. When she encountered an unfamiliar word, she would ask, and her partners would patiently explain. This organic learning felt far more effective than rote memorization, embedding words in context. The English study plan for talking that she had initially found online became her guiding light. It wasn't just a rigid schedule, it was a framework that encouraged consistent, varied practice. It emphasized listening, speaking, reading, and writing, all interconnected components for mastery. Elara particularly enjoyed the shadowing technique recommended by the plan, where she'd repeat sentences immediately after native speakers. This refined her pronunciation and intonation dramatically. It felt like her tongue was finally learning the dance of English sounds, rather than stumbling. Soon, she found herself initiating conversations, rather than waiting to be prompted. Small talk at the supermarket, asking for directions, even responding to online comments. These daily micro-interactions became miniature triumphs, reinforcing her growing self-assurance in English. The transformation was astonishing. The quiet, hesitant Elara was slowly but surely evolving into a confident communicator. She realized that learning a language was less about innate talent and more about persistent effort and a willingness to step outside one's comfort zone, consistently. She learned to embrace the awkward silences that sometimes occur in conversations, not as failures, but as natural pauses. This acceptance reduced her anxiety significantly, allowing her to think before speaking, leading to more coherent and thoughtful responses during discussions. One day, during a video call with a new partner, Elara spoke for almost 10 minutes uninterrupted. No hesitation, no fear, just natural conversation flowing effortlessly. A wave of pride washed over her. This moment was a powerful testament to her unwavering dedication and hard work. She reflected on how to take first step for talking, realizing it was often the hardest part. That initial leap of faith, overcoming the internal resistance, was truly paramount. Once she took that first step, every subsequent one felt a little bit easier, a little less daunting. Elara also discovered that understanding how people speak English varied greatly by region and individual. There wasn't one single, correct, way, but rather a spectrum of authentic expressions. This insight made her less self-conscious about her own unique voice in English. Her confidence in talking to people in pairs grew exponentially. These structured, low-stakes conversations were the perfect incubator for her burgeoning skills. She could experiment with new phrases, ask clarifying questions, and receive immediate feedback without feeling overwhelmed. The online platform became a supportive community, almost like a second home. She made friends from across the globe, united by their shared goal of English fluency. This sense of belonging further motivated her, turning a solitary pursuit into a shared, enjoyable adventure. She started offering advice to newcomers, sharing her journey and practical tips on how to talk with anyone. She encouraged them to embrace imperfection and focus on connection over grammatical flawless. Her own experience made her a credible and empathetic mentor. Elara's journey was a very interesting story, not just for her, but for anyone struggling with language learning. It demonstrated that consistency trumps intensity, and that small, regular efforts compound into significant progress over time. Her transformation inspired many others. She realized that listening English was not just about hearing words, but about understanding context, emotion, and intent. Active listening became a powerful tool, enabling her to respond more appropriately and meaningfully in diverse conversational settings, both formal and informal. Her study plan for talking evolved as she progressed. Initially rigid, it became more flexible, adapting to her changing needs and interests. She incorporated more spontaneous practice, like describing her day aloud or narrating her thoughts in English, making learning organic. The concept of how people speak English transformed from an intimidating ideal to a fascinating field of study. She observed how slang, idioms, and cultural nuances shaped communication. This academic curiosity deepened her appreciation for the language's richness and diversity. Elara found that even simple everyday interactions provided invaluable learning opportunities. Ordering coffee, asking for directions, or chatting with shopkeepers, each was a chance to practice. She actively sought out these moments, turning mundane tasks into linguistic exercises. Her conversations became less about surviving and more about genuinely connecting. She could now share jokes, discuss complex topics, and express nuanced opinions. This newfound freedom in expression was incredibly liberating, opening up a world of possibilities for her. The initial fear of how other people talk in English dissolved completely. She understood that everyone has their own accent and style. This acceptance fostered a more relaxed attitude towards her own pronunciation, allowing her to speak more naturally and confidently. Elara discovered the joy of storytelling in English, sharing personal anecdotes and experiences. This expressive aspect of communication became a favorite part of her practice, adding depth and personality to her conversations, making them far more engaging for her partners. Her ability to talk to people in pairs transitioned into larger group settings. While initially nervous, the foundational confidence built in one-on-one sessions allowed her to participate actively, even if occasionally only contributing a few sentences, gradually increasing her participation. She often reflected on how to learn English effectively. For her, it was a blend of consistent exposure, deliberate practice, and, crucially, a positive mindset. Viewing mistakes as lessons, not failures, was a game-changer in her entire learning process and progress. Elara started consuming English media without subtitles, a goal she had once thought impossible. Movies, news reports, and podcasts now flowed without significant effort. This milestone signified a profound improvement in her overall comprehension and listening skills. Her interactions became richer, extending beyond basic information exchange. She could now discuss abstract concepts, engage in debates, and express empathy authentically. The language had truly become a vehicle for genuine human connection, transcending mere words. The initial English study plane for talking had laid a solid foundation, but Elara's learning journey continued to evolve. She sought out advanced resources, explored specialized vocabulary, and even considered taking an English proficiency exam, pushing her boundaries further. She often reminisced about how daunting it felt to take the first step for talking. It was a single, terrifying leap, yet it was the most important one. That moment of decision, despite intense apprehension, ultimately unlocked her entire future linguistic potential. Elara became a testament to the fact that fluency isn't about eradicating errors, but about communicating effectively and confidently. It was about forging connections and expressing oneself authentically, even with an accent or occasional grammatical slip. This was true mastery. Her story became a beacon for others wondering how to talk with anyone. She championed the idea of starting small, using simple phrases, and gradually building up complexity. Her practical advice resonated deeply with struggling learners seeking actionable strategies. The very interesting story of Elara's linguistic transformation spread, inspiring many in the online community. She had started as a shy, hesitant speaker and blossomed into an articulate, confident conversationalist, demonstrating the power of perseverance. She realized that learning English was a marathon, not a sprint. There would be plateaus and moments of frustration, but consistent effort always yielded results. Her persistence became her greatest asset, propelling her forward through every challenge encountered. Elara's ability to listen English had sharpened to an extraordinary degree. She could discern different accents with ease and pick up on subtle cues that once completely eluded her. This enhanced listening paved the way for more nuanced conversations. She now fully understood how people speak English in its natural, dynamic form. It wasn't just textbooks or grammar rules, it was a living, breathing entity, full of quirks and regional variations. This holistic understanding enriched her communication. How other people talk in English became less about comparison and more about appreciation. Each person's unique way of speaking added to the rich tapestry of the language. She embraced the diversity, finding beauty in every distinct voice she encountered. The technique of how to talk to people in pairs remained a cornerstone of her practice. Even as she grew more confident in group settings, the one-on-one interactions provided a valuable space for focused improvement and deep, meaningful connection with partners. Elara's English study plan for talking continued to be her flexible guide. It emphasized curiosity and genuine interest in the language, rather than just strict adherence to a schedule. Learning became an enjoyable exploration, not a chore. Her journey proved that even a simple desire to learn English could blossom into something profound. It wasn't just about mastering a language, it was about transforming oneself, gaining confidence, and opening doors to new cultures and friendships worldwide. She often encouraged others to simply listen English actively, without judgment, as a starting point. Immersing oneself in the sounds of the language builds an intuitive foundation, making the speaking process much more natural and less forced later on. The very interesting story of Elara serves as a powerful reminder that taking that crucial, first step for talking, is the true catalyst. Without it, all the listening and studying remains theoretical. Action transforms knowledge into ability, every single time. Elara's confident English voice resonated with clarity and authenticity, a testament to her remarkable journey. She was no longer just learning English, she was living it, one confident conversation at a time, inspiring everyone around her to embrace their linguistic potential too.